Saludos.
Hola.
Buenos días.
Bienvenidos.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Exactly.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Museum of Graffiti Artists Live program, Os GEMEOS. Super happy that you could join me. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for representing.
Always.
There you go. So listen, we got a long program today. So we've got some people on board, and so I want to just take a moment to read a bit about you to everyone before we get into the program. Welcome, Os GEMEOS, two brothers, Gustavo and Octavio. They have worked together since birth. As children growing up in the streets of the traditional district of Cambuchi, I hope I said that right, they developed a distinct way of playing and communicating through their artistic language. With the encouragement of their family and the introduction of hip-hop culture in Brazil in the 1980s, Os GEMEOS found a direct connection to their dynamic and magical world and a way to communicate with the public. Guided mainly by their willpower, together they explored with dedication and care the various techniques of painting, drawing, and sculpture, and they had the streets as their place of study. They've held numerous solo shows and group shows in museums and galleries in countries such as Cuba, Chile, United States, Italy, Spain, England, Germany, Lithuania, Japan, to name a few. To understand the work of Os GEMEOS, it is necessary to allow reason to be replaced by the imaginary. Walk through the doors, allowing ourselves to realize the subtleties in the world around us and embark on an experience that exceeds the visual. To feel first and to understand later. Indeed. So my friends, let's get this started. You guys have a big story, and it starts out when you were children. And so one of the things that we're going to discuss is the early days with you. And we're looking at a video clip.
Well, we smell spray paint in that video.
What is it about this clip right here that's special?
It's funny because, you know, how smell can bring you back in the very good memory sometimes, right? Actually, we have this spray can here. This is one of the first from Brazil that we use. I think this is the first we use.
Yeah, this is from the 70s, the spray can. So
how's the
once we
quality?
smell, yeah, once you smell or once you see the can, bring you back to the early days and make us remember a really good era, you know, like difficult, very difficult, but at the same time, very magic, very special.
Let's talk about this picture we're looking at of you, both of you. One of you is doing a backspin. Another one is got kind of popping, and you have your cousin next to you. You were b-boys before you were writers. Is that correct?
No, I mean, we had lucky that we grow up in the neighborhood they call Cambuci, like you say. And when we are child, like 10, 11 years old, we grow up with like playing the streets, like all the kids like you guys too, right? In the 80s, beginning of the 80s, like late 70s, beginning of the 80s, we like spend our time like most like every day in the streets play. I think it's very similar than the childhood of you guys in New York and in Bronx.
So were you living in a favela or just in a
no
regular district?
No, we just live like downtown, São Paulo downtown. And in our neighborhood, we are lucky because all the kids older than us, like 4 years older than us, was b-boy back then. When the hip hop scene arrived here, like what bring the b-boys here is the movie Beat Street. This movie influenced the whole generation here. Beat Street in Breaking, 1984, and they used to hang out in front of the house of our parents. They dancing every day, every night, like a b-boys bench there. And we watch them like every day. And you say, we want to do that because we have no idea what is that. But we feel like the energy. Every day we watch them dancing, performance in the street, say, no, we want to do that thing because it's magical. It's something magical on that. But before that, we always drawing. Since like 4 years old, is our passion, is our way to communicate with each other. And we just drawing. Like since like 4 years old, never stopped to drawing. And when we saw Beat Street for the first time in breaking, we see that there is a graffiti there in this sculpture, but we have no idea what's that. But we feel to do. Like the kids painting, our old friends, they used to do like walls around in the neighborhood, and you watch them say, oh, they do a drawing with a spray can. That's nice because we like to drawing, so we should try to drawing with the spray can too.
Let me ask you a question. Before that, what was the culture for young people in Brazil? What was the equivalent of, maybe was there an equivalent to like hip hop or some kind of alternative culture for young people?
I think it, in the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s was the end of the military dictator here in Brazil.
Military regime.
Yeah, military regime was very strong, very hard for the youngers to express themselves. Like you have to be careful, you know. But we have a lot of subcultures back then, like the skates, the punk, the rock, and the b-boy, the breakdancing, the hip hop, starting between all this in the early 80s. And was like that, like everybody with your crew, everybody with your culture, but everybody dealing with each other very well, you know, like was everything okay?
So that was, it was a perfect vehicle for you to find your voice, right? As creative and dancers. And
I mean, hip hop was perfect for us because
I have an image that I'm looking at now of both of you on stage rapping. How long did that last?
I think it was like hip hop was, we grew up inside of the hip hop. Even we don't know what it is. When we was like 8 years old, 9 years old, we falling in love with this culture. And this involved a lot of youngers, a lot of people from the neighborhoods, from the other side of the city. And until we all come together in the São Bento station, like the B-boys, the breakdance B-boys and B-girls bench, and back in the 80s. Over there, we knew that, okay, this is a strong culture.
Subculture.
Yeah, that everybody come together as one, like very unite everybody, and everybody help each other. Everybody change information with each other, because for us here in Brazil, everything come late, very late.
It's a little bit late, yeah, than what, like, for example, Europe.
Yeah.
Because we have to discover things. We know that a lot of things happen in US, but we have a lot of contact, a lot of access with this. The only thing we have is, like I say, Beat Street in breaking moves.
I would imagine that it felt natural to you because of a couple things that exist in Brazil that are relative to hip hop. Capoeira, of course, you know, familiar, right?
Like, for example, we have like one of the best b-boys back then, and André from the Street Warriors. He was incredible because he was, before he started doing b-boy, he's doing capoeira and Olympic gymnastic. How I don't know how to call that, but he was like really good in capoeira. Like, and for him to involve with the b-boy culture was kind of easy, you know, and he made the difference back then.
And it's funny because we are here in Brazil. The fact that we don't have so much information what's happening outside
back then,
make us, all of us, even like rap music, DJ, graffiti, b-boy, b-girl, to improvise a lot. We have to improvise. Like he said, this guy, b-boy Alan Beat, he used to do capoeira, and then he mixed with the b-boy, and then he developed something else, you know? Like in the painting for us, it was the same. Like, for example, I have here a record that is one of the first records we have. We used to, like, we have only this influencer to do, like, much we can. Because
it's very much the same way in New York. The way it started, it was organic. No one knew. It's just young kids trying to find their way through a tough time in a tough city, but teaching each other along the way.
Yeah, because
that
for example, we used to hang out in the when the beat street or breaking come to the theater, to the cine. The people used to go in the morning, 10 in the morning, and stay to the evening, to the end of the day, like to the 8 o'clock in the night, because you could stay, see one to next to the next to learn, and then go back to the bench and share informations. Was kind
you
of like for us, all of us was kind of like a shock of a culture, like okay, this is our tool to express ourselves and to become something else and to be alive, in this
because this like in '84 when this arrived here was like a mode fashion. Everybody want to do that, like everybody was I call b-boy, I'm b-boy. But after this gone, like '85, and then the real b-boys and the real b-girls start to hang out together. And then '84, '86, '85, '87, and '88 was really strong. Like
you also mentioned to me that subway art and spray can art had a huge effect on you.
Yeah, but we have a contact with this late, like '87, I think. We saw the first time spray can art with a guy that he's already passed away, Zelon. He's like an old school graffiti writer from Brazil. And he find this, I don't know how, but he find one spray can art book and he bring to the bench. But he show like, imagine like 100 people to watch one book. Everybody go crazy. And then he take away. And then like next week he arrived with subway art. Say, oh my God, how you find this?
This was '87.
Yeah. And then we convinced him to make a photocopy. Like, I think we have here.
Because we told this to the Marta documentary about this history.
Yeah, we did it like this. A photocopy of the whole book. And some of the pages, almost like all of them, we color.
Now we write the colors.
We write the colors of the book.
For every single piece, we write the colors to go back home and to remember the colors of the piece. Was that the only way to remember that? Because we don't have color photocopy back then, only black and white.
So let me ask you something. You're emulating New York, but are you understanding at all why kids are doing this, the language they speak, or are you understanding the history of the culture, or are you just kind of copying and making it your own at this point?
I think in the beginning, the beginning we didn't understand because we was too young.
But we feel the energy.
That was something that we needed. That we can be a part of this. We need to be connected with this somehow. But after when we saw Beat Street or when we saw Breaking from California, when we see the books Breaking Art and Subway Art, we start to understand like, okay, this is something very serious now that's happened there in New York now, and it's people all over the world.
It's funny. Our mother, she knows a lot of hip hop.
Yeah,
about hip hop, because back then she used to teach in English, and now everything we have, say, please, mom, translate for us. She read like all the books, everything she reads. She knows a lot. If you ask her about Dondi, she knows. If you ask her about Van Bode, she knows, because she read a lot.
And we try to get as much information from back then, like we used to go to the biblioteca and to try to find in a sector of magazines that come from outside, like import magazines, Skate, or whatever, like any magazines that come from US, to try to find any photo that have anything related to graffiti. We take the page back home and study, to study. Like sometimes we study like a photo that is like this, little small, that you can see a little throw up back in the wall behind the person, and then we try to understand the line, the outline, the feeling.
Did you have a favorite American painter when you were a kid?
Van Bode.
I mean, there is a lot.
Yeah.
Once we saw the subway art, we go crazy, because then we start to understand from the book the different styles of people, the masters of styles, the technique, the improvisement, the atmosphere of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's not only painting graffiti. There is like a big universe behind this.
Yeah.
And then we fall in love with this, because since we are child, we have our own world. We create our own world to drawing. And then we really get like very identified with, like, for example, Van Bode and people that really worry about styles. It's funny, you have this photo. This photo is our father's house. We tell them, say, can you do something in the back of the house? They say, what? No, we're just gonna paint something little, and then we painted the whole house. And they love.
Amazing. So now this wall, it's interesting. Was this influenced at all from the books, like from Scene and Mitch, from that whole car with the rocks?
Yeah, this was beginning of the 80s.
No,
86, 7. No, 87, because we get inspired by the name is the stop that we put it there.
Yeah.
This is getting inspired by the guys from Amsterdam, I guess.
Yeah, it's this one,
something like this.
Let me ask you something. How are you getting your spray paint? Are you buying it or are you stealing your spray paint?
No, back then it's not expensive, but what we do?
No, we try to get it from the car stores, like car repairing stores. We ask them. Cambuci is industrial. Back there was industrial area, so it was a lot of printing factories. We used to go there to ask for them for some spray can, and we use a lot of latex because we don't have like 5 spray cans or 10 spray cans. It was impossible. So what we do back then was to do fillings with latex and outline with spray. Sometimes one spray we do like 5 outlines. We try to do as much we can because it was very precious, very rare to have one can.
This photo, can you talk a little bit about this photo? Because it's something very interesting. This is one of the first time we go out in the streets in the daytime to paint it Sunday. This photo, this I think is 1989 or 19, I don't remember. But we was like, Espeto, that's another legend from Brazil.
Are you there, man?
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening to you.
Okay. You can see that we have influence about the guys from Paris, like Bando, Pride, and Motu in the aerosol.
Yeah.
I
can see that. I was going to ask you about that.
This one. Yeah, we have here to show you.
Yeah, I mean, for the important thing from this photo is like we decide with Speto and Binho and Tinho, we just decide, okay, let's go out, and we was painting every day, like almost every week in the night. And this time we decide, okay, let's try to do in the daytime to see what's happened. And what's funny because we figured out that Sunday was easy day to go because less police in the streets, less people. And then we say, okay, let's stop in a wall as like we have a permission, but we don't have, and start to paint. And for a lot of people, they thinking that we have, because they were told that this guy's not crazy to do this in the daytime. But we was, like we starting doing in the daytime back then.
Let me ask you something. How old were you when you were painting this wall?
This one? Well, we born in 1974. This wall is 19.
Now, were you guys at this age, at this time, like adventuring out and painting trains and buses, or just walls?
This time we did like some walls, more walls, yeah. But I think the first train we did, it was 1993 or 94. I don't remember. I think it was 93. Yeah, because it was the first time you watched Star Wars.
But it was good to have this experience of use the city. Somehow São Paulo is very different from other cities around the world.
But was it, in terms of doing the graffiti back then, was there laws against it yet? Was there any penalty?
No.
I mean, there was some kind of programs against graffiti back then, like the early, like Jânio is one of the politicians that they really hate graffiti. He really want to kill graffiti, and others as well. But they try to put some programs together to try to clean graffiti, to try to put laws against graffiti. But we didn't care. We didn't give a fuck. We just want a painting. We just, let's see. It was like more like let's see what's happened if we stop here and start to painting.
So important question. I have an important question for you. Did you guys have different names? Like, what was your tag name back then?
No, it was the same. I mean, the early 80s was Tico and Teco. Tico, Tico and Teco.
But this wall that you show now, I think it was the first time we write GEMEOS.
Yeah, and this is all filling by latex and outline spray can.
Even the character.
Yeah, filling latex and then outline spray can.
Yeah.
And then we have Espeto on the other side, and have a Tinho and Vinho. Was gilt wall, like in a tunnel, like really good place.
So why Os GEMEOS? How did you choose that name, and why did you decide, you know what?
Because we are twins.
We used to hang out in a B-boys bench, breakdancing there. And then everybody, every time we arrive there, the guys say, look the guys, but they never know who is who. They never know, this is Gustavo, this is Otavio. And then one of the famous DJs back then, DJ One from Tahiti, and DJ One. And he said, okay, now I'm going to call you guys Os GEMEOS, because it's easy for us to call you guys Os GEMEOS, because we never know who's Gustavo or who's Otavio. And then was Os GEMEOS, and then start like this. And then we figured out that it was a good name to write, because we really like the letters and the meaning of that. And it's like family name, so it was perfect for us.
Yeah, easy.
So I'm looking at a picture, a crew shot of a bunch of young men on a wall.
Yeah, we are there in the roof somewhere.
Yeah.
So now, is this your crew? Did you have a proper writing crew that you were part of?
Part of the crew. Like I say, in the Cambuci, we have this crew they call Portal do Cambuci. It's a famous crew for the neighborhood crew. And inside of this crew, we have a fantastic break. That is the B-boys from the crew. And also later, you have the Street Warriors. It's all of different crews inside of the big one crew, you know. And this is just a little part of the people.
Yeah, it was more than 60 people.
You know, it's funny, if you go back, the wall, you can see the character. We get influence about a whole car from, I think it's Point, Kyle, and what else? John 1. You know this car? There is 3 characters. Maybe you know.
Yeah.
A famous one. So we got influence about this car to do this character. Yeah.
So as a crew, in terms, because, you know, New York, the writers had crews, and there was competition, and there was beef. Did that start happening in Brazil, where it was starting getting competition amongst each other?
I think it was different like this. We have also the gangs, like neighborhood gangs. Like one street is one gang, another 2 streets down is another gang, and if you go to another neighborhood, it's another gang. It's like turma, you know, like neighborhood crews.
Yeah, we call crews more,
but not for breakdancing, not for hip hop. Was more neighborhood crews,
like kids for the neighborhood.
Yeah, but in Cambuci was different, because we have the crew here, the gang, and inside of this we have the b-boys, breakdancing people. So
now, would you go into favelas? I mean, was hip hop popular in the favela?
Yeah, it was very popular since the beginning in the ghetto, in the favelas here.
But
a lot of people that a lot of people that hang out here in the Cambuci. Some was from living in the communities, some not. We have a close communities, few blocks from where we grew up. Was industrial neighborhood, but with some little communities around. So all these people used to hang out here with us in the Cambuci. So we all together. And when we start to go to São Bento station, the bench, there we met everybody from São Paulo. And even people from outside, like in Belo Horizonte, you know, people from Belo Horizonte, people from Goiânia, like Recife. A lot of people show up there. So was people from all over the place, all kind of people, all kind of neighborhoods, all together, you know, there.
Hip hop was very, very, very strong in the 80s here.
And it's crazy how was it unite, you know, like I know that in New York in the beginning was like kind of crews, sometimes fighting, graffiti, gangs fighting with each other. Here was totally different, because I talked about this with those one time when he bring us to the Rocksteady Park, and then we talk about the how was there and how was here. And we say we received this as a as a hope, as a way to survive, a way to express ourselves, and to alive, to be happy, you know, in the very crazy city. And uh, so we took the beautiful from the hip hop, you know, like all the beautiful. We filter all this here and try to make as good as possible. And he said, yeah, this is amazing from Brazil, because you guys make it totally different from what we did, and you guys did it very well. Like the hip hop in Brazil is very special in the dance, the way you guys dance, the way you guys do rap music. Like we have amazing rappers here, incredible, like really talented.
You have an amazing culture there for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
But one of
it's
the
a
things that you
cultural place. Brazil is a really cultural place that can mix a lot of different things, you know.
With our folk, like for example, samba, you know, samba, capoeira, you know, this energy we always mix together with the
But
way
there's
we
also
dancing.
something else that's important in your story, right? It's the folklore, right? It's all the history and the folklore of the country that's outside of hip hop culture, that's out of popular culture, and it's something that comes into your work, right? Now you talk about filtering, right? You
Yeah,
guys start getting really good at doing graffiti and painting and doing styles and finding your own style. And one of the things that was really interesting to me in terms of how we look at you over the years is that, yeah, you are filtering like so much up from the West, I mean, really from the North, up all the way to what's in the Amazonia.
I think it was very natural, you know, because we grew up in the Cambuci, is a downtown neighborhood, but very close to the bus station back then. That a lot of people from the north of Brazil used to come to Brazil, to São Paulo, to find a job, and was kind of a mixed neighborhood, Spanish, Italian, and people that come from the north of Brazil. These people that come like really hard travels to try to get the jobs. So we grew up in between all these people here. And I think this was very natural for us to have influenced by the guy that writing a propaganda of the bar, you know, like a hand style, and the guy that used to play music in the street for sell milk, you know, things like that. Like that we grow up like for example, in the Saturday or Sunday, used to come like maybe 10 people walking in the streets, passing by, selling stuff, like in a very creative way, you know, of singing, making a music box to make a noise, and then you understand, okay, this noise is the guy that sell banana or guy that sell juice.
Mm-hmm.
So this was very improvised and creative childhood, you know.
So we start seeing that in the work, right? We're looking at this burner that you guys did, this painting. But one of the things that I want to highlight about this painting is the lettering is fantastic, but what's happening is you guys are illustrating really imaginative images of character. I don't know the theme here about this character, but what's interesting to me is that at this point you're putting stories, these little stories into your work now.
Yeah. This is, I think this wall is 1996 maybe, I don't remember, but this period we like 93 we met Barry McGee. He come to Brazil to do a artistic residence here in the museum.
Yeah,
and him for us was a big influence in our life. We learned a lot with him.
Right, because he was in university, right, at the San Francisco.
Yeah, this photo you can see him. Yeah, we are with him. This wall we did before we met him. Yeah, this wall before. Yeah, but when we met him, you understand that okay, he have his own style. He don't need much to express himself. Just two colors, black and white, and you can see a lot of expression in what he's doing. But before this, we already like close ourselves to drawing, like to try to find the reasons we are here in this in this life to drawing, how we drawing, because we used to drawing like every day, don't stop, you know. And we like to remember that, like in the 1990s, we try to understand why we are like this, why we just drawing, like b-boy in drawing, b-boy in drawing, you know. And this painting, like if you go back in the wall, the big one, we try to go back one more. Yeah, this you can see that the becoming more organic, like the style of the b-boy, the pose of the b-boy with the glasses.
Yeah.
You can see the glass, you know, that like we try to mix like b-boy style with this mystical fantasy world that we drawing every day. And then we start to become like mix. Because before we do more like b-boy style, like
Well,
b-boy
what's
character.
interesting, what's interesting to me is that you guys are really going in on detail with style, and you know, with the narrative on the wall. You meet Barry, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, we can simplify our tag with 2 colors. We can simplify
it's experience, just like it's experience. Because after we met Barry, we say, okay, we studied a lot of colors before, how to put colors in the characters and the styles, everything, the background, everything. But let's try something like compact all this, you know, how to compact all these colors, all these styles in one.
That
right.
photo you showed me is from our brother Ernesto, the other one.
This
There's
one,
another graffiti writer here, Ernesto. He take the photo for us. So that's why we try. This one is like one example that we try 2 colors. You can see that style is very different than the other. Just for you to have an idea, for characters, we have more than 35 styles.
was anybody painting characters, you know, just characters back then on the street?
Yeah, but a lot of people painting characters back then, but a few people we met that really was make us stop and think about it. For example, even before Barry, we met Speto. He was one of the most important guy for us, because when we met in the 80s, he already had his own style of drawing and painting.
Especially in the characters.
Yeah, especially in the character. He was incredible. And he's still like, he's a genius. And we learned a lot from him because he was the close person that we met. They have an original style back then. And then it was like, okay, wow, you know, we have to find our own style. And since then, we was in the process to really find our own style. When we met Barry, Barry was kind of a simplifies everything, because we was completely immersed in the color world. But Barry was like, okay, you can do something with 2 colors, or even less, like one.
And I think also very important, he showed us the other side of the graffiti
the
world.
bombing world.
The bombing world. Yeah. Because he used to do a lot of walls, like the big production, big walls, and he come with tropes and tags. He teaches us how to do tags.
Yeah.
I remember that when he was here, we spent like nights and nights just tag like this, you know. Tags, every
Doodling,
day,
yes.
tags, like if, you know, every night like tag. And then we had our hand style. He give us, you know, he give the base of this.
And even the bombing, like throw up side, like
right.
To understand like what is throw up, what is doing bombing in the city.
So what's interesting to me is that you guys are so hardcore, old school graffiti, kind of pushing that forward. You're not trying the local hand style, the Fisher South style. You're really focused on reinventing the letter, you know, the throw up. You're looking outside of your own country, actually, or thinking outside the box as to how you write your name.
I think we went inside of our world, I guess. I think we experienced a lot of different style of lettering, you know, like all the wild style, all the bubble letters, but we stopped one time and said, okay, we need to find our title, you know, how we write our GEMEOS in the same way that we drawing our characters, you know. So we need to find something that is us, that talking for us, you know. Once the piece is outside, they can talk by themselves, you know. And I think this was very important because
right. But like, what's interesting, you say that, like, for instance, when you're looking at this painting on the wall. It's almost a very abstract style painting, but if you look at it closely, you'll see that it is a GEMEOS tag, actually. That it's kind of the borderline between a graphic design logo, an abstract painting. Tell me about this type of work. This
is a very unique. We just did this one like this, and we call it the land art. It's like a waves, you know. We write the GEMEOS as a waves with the sunset, and we just try to experiment something fresh, something different from the other styles.
You know, it's funny, Mary, because we never repeat the letter. Never. We always new.
But we try to keep the basic, the energy. You know,
yeah.
This is the most important, to keep the style, the energy.
Yeah.
And then flowing all these different directions, you know. But it was like good experience. All of this is for us is like experience of because for us letter is very, very special, you know, drawing letters.
And you know what, these last 3 slides that we saw illustrate that really quite beautifully, because here you have a building and, you know, it's all yellow and you block out the small parts of the letter. So it's kind of very like minimalist, right? It's like
this one, especially this one, we didn't have this in mind when we did it. I think it was one Sunday that we really kill all the cans in the car, doing a lot of graffiti around, and we have only 2 or 3 cans left. And we saw this wall and said, okay, we have 3 cans, we have this wall, let's do something. And we did this.
Was the building yellow already?
Yeah, it was yellow.
So tell me about your use of yellow. Yellow appears a lot in your work.
Yellow for us is a magic color. We call the yellow era, you know, like when we start to find our own style, drawings like crazy. We see the yellow as a energy, as a positive, or something that we can share with other people, because we understand that graffiti is a very strong communication, and it's very important. Once you are outside putting something there, doing something there, you communicate with people, and you need to share, for us, good things, you know. You need to share positive vibrations, you need to share good vibes, and filter all this negative, filter all this pressure that the cities try to smash in you. So we open windows with graffiti, and to make people fly away for even for 1 second or 10 seconds or 1 hour, like stop in front of one piece, not only our piece, but everybody's piece. That is like, we see as a window for fly away, for relaxing, for, you know, to escape from the craziness. And we see that the yellow is special like this. And also the identification. Like if you drive the train, or if you are in the bus, you see yellow and red, you remember, okay, GEMEOS, something like this.
So let me ask you something. When you paint together, there's a synchronicity, right? I've seen you work before. There's things that are unspoken. And is there ever a conflict for you when you paint together? Do you feel like it's as complementary as it seems, or do you have to negotiate a lot when you paint together?
No, we are own artists.
Yeah,
it's like one art.
Yeah,
I know what he want to do. He knows what I'm gonna do. It's like it easy, you know. We don't know how to explain this, because we think the same thing when we paint.
Yeah, this is since we born.
Yeah,
you know?
Before we born.
Again, talking about style, this one's really interesting. Under the highway, it seems. And it doesn't even look like letters. I mean, I can make out the S. I mean, yes, I could. If I look at it closer, I can find it. But tell me about this exploration of style, like volumetric style.
We believe the style have to have the expression, emotion. Yeah. All the style, there is emotion. You can do style, sad style. You can do happy.
And so, what
style.
emotion does this piece have?
Because, for example, I think it's more kind of a futurist emotion. It's kind of a more like getting out of this world and fly in different directions of different planets.
But you can see the E is like it's most like a b-boy face, like a Muggsy,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and the S kicks out.
Yeah.
This would make a very interesting sculpture, actually.
Yeah, it's true.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We should try. Yeah, this we love that.
This is a glass. This is a guy with the glass, and the glass says GEMEOS.
Well, one of the things that's really interesting, you come back to like especially with some of these pieces I see, it's almost reminiscent of early 70s New York characters when the kids are just trying to figure out how to make a cartoon character, right? Like very, very simple goggles and, you know, yeah, simple features.
You know, it's funny because we closed ourselves like from the middle of the 90s to really find our style. Like we get like 4 or 5 years every day inside of our bedroom, drawing every day. We never go out of the street, like just painting, drawing, to discover ourselves, why we are here, why we drawing, to have our own style, right? After that, when we find this, it's like a window that we open, and we see like the whole universe we create inside of this room.
So can we make something clear to people? Is that you didn't go to art university?
No.
You guys taught each other.
University. Yeah, we stood by ourselves, between us.
And in terms of this style, the style that we know you for, there is no reference for that, so to speak.
In the beginning, yes, but and then we really jump inside. It's like more like a spiritual thing. It's more like a temple. We get inside of our temple and to really discover why we are here. It's more like a spiritual thing. I think one of the things that really influenced us to jump inside of this, I think the first thing is Van Baudin. When you saw Van Baudin for the first time, that he had his own world, we say, okay, this guy have his own world, and we feel that we have our own world since like we 3 or 4 years old. We just have to open this door, and then we really jump inside, like to discover that. And because before this, we used to do like b-boy characters. We used to copy like those, for example, the cover, like, hey, Dozy, he's there. Dozy, we love this, man. He's the best, man. So we used to copy this a lot.
Rocksteady Crew, Up Rock album.
Yeah. We used to copy a lot of Muggsies from those. And then we jump inside of ourselves to discover our style. And today, like when you saw this character with the letter, you say that bring you back in the memories in the 70s, in the 80s. I think because now we are very comfortable to play, because we have already our own style, but we can go back and play with the things that we did like in 86, 87, just bring it back to play a little bit, you know.
Well, one of the things that's interesting.
We have a lot of, and of course we have a lot of friends that always influence us, like Todd James, for example. You know, he's a big influence of us.
All you guys.
All you guys. You don't all you guys.
Days,
come on,
everybody.
Days, yeah.
Well, one of the things
the
things that I have to point out that's really important in your development of finding your style, is specifically in terms of the characters. It's not just illustration; it is painting technique, right?
Yeah.
The painting technique is just as important as the illustration, because you guys have created a specific style of painting, a low pressure, thin lines, a decal style, a speckle style of painting your characters.
Yeah, I think it was because few things, like the technique we start really early, like in the 80s, like because the Spreken, book. Once we saw the Spreken works from the TCA, like Bundle Pride, this guy used to do the lines, very tiny lines for the letter outline, and Motu, all these people, they influence us a lot, because we see that you can do more with your one can, and you use less painting, like if you outline with skinny lines, you have more color, more can to do more graffiti. So that's why we decide to do very, very tiny lines, skin lines. And also because our drawings was full of details, like crazy insane of the details in the paper. We realized, okay, how we put this in the wall? How are we gonna transport this to the wall? And then we say, okay, we need some technique that we can do all these details in a very skinny lines. And then we started doing this with the Brazilian spray can back then.
Right, and you weren't afraid to use stencils and stuff to help you get the design details you wanted.
No, because São Paulo in the 80s, stencil artwork was very, very popular. You know, like they start together with the hip hop culture, but parallel, not together. But was a lot of good artists here that used to do stencils. And we used to see a lot of stencil art in São Paulo. And also we get inspired by this too. You know?
I mean, the difference is, you know, this, for instance, we're looking at this GEMEOS train painted with characters that are reminiscent of Doze's Muggsy B-boy characters.
Yeah,
very classic. You know, it's very 2D and flat. That's the old example of how we used to paint, you know, or you used to paint the classic graffiti and classic b-boys. Whereas if we go back, I mean, this is the update, right? This is a whole different style to the b-boy or let's just say your illustrations of characters.
Yeah, this is fun. Is a funny photo because go back a little bit. Just one. Yeah, we used to do like this a lot. We did it more than maybe 1,000 in the whole city of characters like this. You even cannot count. But and then we have the like for more than 20 years. They change the mayor in the city and they buff. There is a lot of campaign against buff, you know.
But now that let me ask you something. Now that you're world famous, you're loved in your country, are they interested in preserving your work?
Oh no, forget about it. The municipality, the government, no, they don't care. It's just buff,
the government clean.
They don't respect the art in the streets, man.
No one, no, even us, but other writers as well, other graffiti writers, they just clean, you know.
Yeah, you just see,
like for example, now in the quarantena, in the COVID, the problem we have now, they took it these 3 months to clean the whole freeways. They thinking that okay, everybody's home, let's clean everything.
Right. So tell me about this photograph that we're looking at, because they had painted over your piece and you came back and reclaimed it.
This was, we did it like in the Sunday. We went in the morning, did this character, and then we continued to paint in Bombay like the whole Sunday. And in the same day, we passed again the same street. We saw the guys clean, and then you wait, they leave. When they leave,
no, we don't saw them.
Não, a gente viu os caras limpando isso aí. We saw them leave, and then we go back there with water and clean because they use very shit painting, so we just clean and bring the character back.
Such a great story.
Yeah, we did it there like many times.
So here we have a piece that you did with Devious Doze.
Yeah,
is it in Sao Paulo?
The Genius Doze.
Yeah, it was great.
Unfortunately, they buffed this too, man.
So not much survives.
No. But he's our brother. Doze is our brother. We love him.
And Doze is currently in Brazil. He loves your country very much.
Yeah. He lives here.
And we often talk about the richness and character and music and food and art, all these things that are so important to the country. You know, before we end this first hour, how are you guys dealing with, you know, Corona and the changes that all of us are feeling at the moment?
We get it like everybody at home, you know?
Yeah, or in the studio.
Or in the studio, but there's nobody here, just us here. We just drawing every day. Yeah. We take care a lot. Don't go out in the streets.
Trying to do a lot of social projects. Like we start in the beginning of this, we knew that's going to be hard for a lot of people. We start to do a lot of social projects, like a lot. Crazy. Yeah, we don't stop till now.
Right. So, one of the things that people should know about you, that you've always spent a lot of time doing giving support for social causes. That's important to you, isn't it? As your role as artist.
Yeah, it is important. Yeah, I think the less you do is, I mean, you have to do, like more and more, always more and more.
Yeah,
Like
everybody
you
has to
can
do our
do
own
it.
part. We cannot depend of the government.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, we're feeling that way here in the U.S. at the moment, and one of the things that we see more and more is that the street campaigns, the graffiti artists or non-graffiti artists, people are putting it up on the wall. Everybody's protesting on the walls now.
Yeah.
But a lot of great, beautiful murals that are going up to bring awareness to the death of George Floyd and others, but also to this problem of police brutality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the voice. Everybody needs to say something, like.
Yeah.
And it needs to be to make. I think this is going to be a big change.
I mean, we are very similar in kind of government we have. It's a shame what we have here too. What's happening all over the world actually. But everybody have to say something, have to do something. We do our part.
And how are these changes, like now with Bolsonaro, how are in terms of the public space, right, of artists using public space? Is it more restricted, or how has the change affected street art?
They don't support the culture in our country. We never depend of them. Any politician, any year, we always want to do something like a big wall in the city. We just go and make. You want to paint in the street, just go and make, because we know that if you want to depend of these people, they don't care for you. They don't care for the culture in the country. They don't respect the culture of the country.
So yeah, we have to.
But for you guys, since you guys are so popular, I mean, do you feel like you get more love outside your country than you do in your own country?
No, I think it's a love. Love is love. In any country, in every place you go, is love is love. It's the universal feeling in language. I think it's bigger than that. Like it's more about what you believe for yourself. It's more about what you find for yourself. What is your reason to be here, in life, and what you can do alive. Like
to help somebody. Yeah.
No, to discover yourself and your mission here. What is our mission? I think what we believe in our mission is bigger than what these politicians and what these people want to do with us. I think the art is bigger than this. The feeling is stronger. If everybody is together, it's more strong. If all the writers, the graffiti writers, the artists, whatever, doesn't matter who be together, it's more strong.
Isn't that at the heart of what we learned early on as kids through hip hop culture? Is that we have this extended family through culture, right? Through the dance, through the music.
I think it's the same like back in the days when Bambata say, okay, peace, unity, love, and have fun.
Like you guys smashed the whole system of subway in New York. This is beautiful. And then they try to buff, they try to paint it white. You guys continue. They try to change the trains. People still continue painting. So,
and then you just did it. You just split this culture all over the world.
Yeah.
This is incredible. Imagine how many people you guys saved the life with graffiti, with hip hop.
Yeah.
Well, think about it this way. Think of how many lives you have saved in Brazil, right? Because you two have an influence on so many young people, and you become influenced. So it's this kind of chain, right? All of us have a little part in this. We're all connected on this chain that has created this culture.
Yeah, it's good because when we start with Espeto, Binho, Tinho, Viche, like the old school people that start with the hip hop graffiti writing, we have no idea what's going on, where we are gonna arrive with this, because we don't have like, okay, one day we're gonna do a show, one day we're gonna travel all over the world. No, we just wanna hang out with us, find our own style and just painting. Just have fun painting. It's more important for us is like
find the style
and say, oh wow, that's nice. Oh, what you did that? You did it. Like just have fun, like you guys in the subways.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you bite? Do you copy other people's style?
Yes.
Yeah, in the beginning, yes.
Yeah.
We did it because we tried to learn how to do it.
But we always say who we copy, why we copy, because
it's
it's
important.
important.
Yeah.
Like those, we get influence about those, about Dondi, about you guys, Bode, Speto,
many people, a lot of people,
Motu, but this makes us create our own style because we saw that all these people have own style. So okay, we need to have our own style.
Yeah.
Right. And again, you know, we talk about style and style writing. We're looking at a picture so that people know that you guys actually painted trains. You got up. you definitely got up big time.
For COVID.
Yeah, there you go. So listen, we're winding down the first hour. It's going to get really interesting in the second hour as well. So I want people to hang out. I'm going to log off and save the video and come back live with you. Okay.
All right.
So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. Thank you for supporting everybody who's on board. We're with Os GEMEOS. This is the Museum of Graffiti Artist Talk Live program, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.